On a camera.
Not my swag, you know.
This is Live 5 News at 6.
The big game you've been waiting for set to start this week, but will the lottery be ready to deliver the pick 3 on time?
The NAACP has spoken. Now it's the Attorney General's turn. Will Charlie Condon sue over the Border Patrol boycott?
And want to see the port expand onto Daniel Island? Well, tonight that contentious debate continues at a public hearing. I'm Jane Jeffcoat, and I'll take you there straight ahead in a live report.
Good evening. Those are some of tonight's top stories. I'm Debbie Chard.
And I'm Bill Sharp. March is here, and it is freezing outside. Deborah Keith, how much longer are we going to have before we warm up? I'm cold.
Yeah, it's going to be very cold tonight. In fact, near record. The record for tonight is 23. Is set back in the 60s, and we're going to scare that pretty good, I think, around the area. In fact, the low temperatures for tonight will range from about 23 at the airport to about 30 downtown, and will be 20s in the mid-20s to the north coast, down to the low 30s, maybe down around Beaufort and Hilton Head. But as we move further inland, you'll see those temperatures back off. About 20 tonight in Orangeburg and over toward Santee. It's going to be a very, very cold night tonight, clear. And we're going to deal with some wind in the early part of the evening as well. Will make it feel much, much colder. The good news is it only lasts one night and we start to warm up. In fact, by the weekend, we're looking at high temperatures back into the 70s, which is, frankly, will feel a whole lot better. We'll talk about the details of the 5-day forecast coming up here in just a little while. Bill, Debbie, back to you.
All right, Keith, back in the 70s. Can't wait for that. Tonight, for the first time, we hear from one of the men accused of beating Edward Snowden before he was shot and killed by police. Harv Jacobs is live outside court now with the very latest. Whom did we hear from today, Harv?
Well, Bill, we heard from Jimmy Jackson. These are the people that everybody's been waiting to hear from. Jimmy Jackson says he was the real victim and that he and his friends were threatened by Edward Snowden. Now, Jimmy Jackson was the first of the defendants to take the witness stand today. Jackson, recalling that night in October of 2000, testified that Edward Snowden, quoting now, started raising hell about people being around his car, end quote. Jackson says he told Snowden to mind his own business and leave. At that point, Jackson testified, he says Snowden pulled a gun and fired, but nothing happened. Then he says Snowden fired a shot that worked into the ground and then chased him. He says the next thing he knew, he, Snowden, and a group of other people were inside the video store.
Jimmy, after Mr. Snowden chased you around the car, fired a shot at you, did you ever try and enlist the help of anyone around you by saying, come on, let's get him?
I never called anybody to come and assist me to do anything. Everyone came outside because they heard a gun being shot.
Now, moments later, an armed Snowden was accidentally shot to death by the two North Charleston police officers who didn't know he was an alleged victim. Those officers testified earlier today that Snowden pointed his gun at the suspects and at them before they fired. Jackson, his brother Jesse, and Christopher Schmidt are all charged with second-degree lynching, also known as mob violence. If convicted, they each face up to 20 years in prison. Testimony continues at this hour. We're told the trial could possibly wrap up sometime tomorrow. Reporting live from the Charleston County Courthouse, I'm police reporter Harv Jacobs. Now, Debbie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Harv. The fear of cranes in containers and truck traffic has hundreds of people outraged over port expansion on Daniel Island. Tonight, they'll get the chance to speak out about what happens in their backyard. Jan Jeffcoat is live in North Charleston, where a public hearing is underway. Jan?
Debbie, tonight, lawmakers will hear from residents that this proposed bill to expand the port will directly affect. Now, that means those who are both for and those who are against expanding the port. Now, about half an hour before the meeting began, dozens of folks stood outside holding signs. Inside, it's standing room only where the hearing got underway about half an hour ago. You can see, though, as hundreds of folks packed Sterrett Hall at the old naval base here in North Charleston. Now, a majority of these people are for port expansion onto Daniel Island, but the residents who live there say they worry the new terminal will create more traffic congestion and destroy the community's history and heritage.
Okay, it's going to take away the beauty, the preservation. You're going to have the trucks going to be coming in, and I'm talking about a lot of trucks, and it's going to be bad for the school kids. It's going to be a safety disaster.
Now, of course, lawmakers will take what they learned tonight back to Columbia, where the debate will continue in the Senate. Now, the meeting here tonight does last until 8:30, so there's still plenty of time for those folks who still want to make it out here. Reporting live from North Charleston, I'm Jan Jeffcoat. Bill, back to you.
Jan, thank you. You can call it South Carolina's version of the Amazing Race. Officials are scrambling to bring you the state's first true lottery. As Patrick Villegas reports, the pressure is on.
In the last few weeks, South Carolina's been spending millions scratching those.
Lotto tickets.
But now in just 3 days, it'll be time to pick 3.
That's one I like to play.
The number drawing games will begin this Thursday, March 7th. Pick 3 numbers between 0 and 9, and if they all turn up, you win.
It's the numbers, and you can win a lot more money.
$500 in fact. But the bigger question for lottery officials is making sure the games work. Lottery officials are still working to wire those lotto machines. They hope to have at least 2,600 retailers connected by Thursday's drawing. They tell Live 5 News, quote, "Will we be ready? We probably will. Will we have a glitch? We probably will. But it's hard to anticipate those glitches. I hope Scientific Games has a backup. It's their computer. They're saying everything will be fine." Thursday, we'll find out. In the meantime, your biggest worry should be what lucky numbers to pencil in.
Most people usually pick birthdays, so I'll probably go with a birthday.
Can't tell you, because he didn't want it. Would be lucky for me and everybody else out there if they win.
Patrick Villegas, Live 5 News.
Just a reminder, not every retailer that sells the scratch-off games will offer the Pick 3. Now, new figures just released show lottery ticket sales are still strong here in South Carolina. The state topped the $138 million mark last week. The top-selling counties include Greenville, Horry, and Charleston.
State Attorney General Charlie Condon is keeping the war of words alive with the NAACP, but he still hasn't decided whether to raise the stakes and take the fight to the courtroom. This weekend, NAACP members began protesting at our state's welcome centers to discourage tourists from spending money here in South Carolina. Condon says the demonstrations are illegal, and his staff is still researching whether to file suit against the civil rights organization.
Federal law makes it clear that interstate welcome centers and rest stops are designed solely for the purpose of giving motorists a place of rest, hospitality, and recovery from road fatigue. Use of those tax-funded facilities for other purposes is strictly prohibited.
Condon has asked Governor Jim Hodges to join him in condemning the Border Patrols as an illegal use of public facilities. Hodges says he does not support the Border Patrols. The NAACP has vowed to continue its boycott until the Confederate flag is removed from State House grounds. The state gave Charleston County a hefty grant to help teach children with special needs, but is the district complying with the law? Currently, there are more than 8,000, or rather 6,000, Charleston County students identified with disabilities and enrolled in special education classes. Charleston County is getting $6 million from the state to educate these children, but board member Liz Alston has some concerns about the way those funds are being spent. The board is expected to review their policy at tonight's academic policies meeting. We'll have a report for you tonight at 11.
If you're planning for college, a new state-run savings program is now open for business. The plan lets people open accounts for children or grandchildren, even yourself. The money grows free of state and federal taxes, and withdrawals are tax-free when used for college-related expenses. Accounts can be set up at any Bank of America. Students at a North Charleston technical school claim people at the institution are up to no good. A small group of protesters turned out today at Beta Tech. They charge the school has tolerated racism, sexism. They also believe staff members are embezzling money. Officials with the school say this is the first they've heard about these allegations of wrongdoing on the campus. They say, though, the charges will be looked into and addressed.
Nearly 2 months after staging a downtown protest, local workers who want to build the new Cooper River Bridge will make more noise tomorrow.
We're from Charleston, South Carolina. We want a job. This is our bridge. We're paying for it. We're building it.
Union members will meet in the morning to air their grievances against the Palmetto Bridge Construction Company. They claim the local workforce is being passed over for low-paid, out-of-state workers. But the project manager tells us 97% of the employees hired are from right here in the Lowcountry.
One of the most popular grocery store chains in the Lowcountry became the target of crime this weekend. A man carrying 2 guns walked into this Piggly Wiggly on Highway 61 Friday night. He forced employees to lie on the floor while he stole about $15,000. If you were in the Pierpont area at the time of the robbery and if you saw anything, please call the Sheriff's Department. Here is that number to call, 554-4700.
A tiny town in turmoil will elect a new leader tomorrow. Voters in Andrews will head to the polls at 7 a.m. to pick a new mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Clarence Dorsey is running against 2 councilmen, Gerald Mixon and Terrence Middleton. Andrews' former mayor resigned last year in the wake of a state police investigation into the town's finances. The former police chief was indicted last week after being charged with embezzling over $5,000 from the city.
Now, we are continuing to keep a close eye on tonight's top story, a cold night ahead. Keith, what are we in for tonight?
Yeah, 20s again, as was the case this time last week across the Lowcountry, dealing with a little wind chill as well, but warmer temperatures as we head toward the weekend. Forecast details are straight ahead.
Then, if you're too busy to exercise, could raspberries help you melt the pounds away? We'll tell you about the latest craze later at 6.
Hi, everybody. Warren Pepper coming to you from the North Charleston Sheridan. Well, I'll speak with Coach Lee Corso coming up in just a bit. He's here to speak to the Touchdown Club tonight. That's just ahead.
Tonight on CBS, complete coverage of the largest ground battle to date involving Americans in Afghanistan. At least 8 U.S. soldiers dead. The battle hangs in the balance.
Live 5 News Super Doppler 5000 is brought to you by Trident Health System.
And good evening, everybody. As the sun begins to set here on a really nice night across coastal South Carolina. Clouds have cleared, sun came out, but that means radiational cooling will set in, and it looks to be a very chilly night. In fact, near record temperatures for the overnight lows. Live Super Doppler 5000 looking out 100 miles. Last vestige of the showers over the weekend have now pushed well out offshore. Should not be a problem here over the next 4 or 5 days. Temperatures, though, tonight are going to be cool. We haven't warmed up much today at all. We're about 40 right now, and you see that's pretty much the rule of thumb to get to the Midlands, and we'll be back in the mid-30s into the mid-20s back in the mountains. But you factor the wind in, and it really starts to feel kind of chilly. 6 in Asheville, 25 here in the Lowcountry, and wind's going to be with us for just a while longer, probably dying after midnight, which will allow things to cool off just a little bit. There's the last of the cloud cover now beginning to push offshore, setting up our cooling for tonight, and again, near record cold. Not much else going on. Big snowstorm wrapping up down in southern Wisconsin, northern Indiana, Illinois. That cold front pushing through, showing some mixed precipitation even in northern Florida at this hour as the temperatures continue to fall. Now, where's it going to go for the next 36 hours? Future Tracker lines it up like this. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning as you head off to work or school, not a problem. Put the clock into motion right on into tomorrow afternoon and evening. No change. Clouds staying off to our north, and through the evening hours into Wednesday morning, pretty much the same story. The good news, the sunshine and the winds dying will warm us up. But tonight, it's going to be very, very cold. About 30 in the city to about 23 at the airport. And as you move back inland, about 20 in Orangeburg. Columbia's calling for some upper teens tonight. So if you put those plants out to get a little rainwater and we warmed up, pull them back in tonight. 40 degrees right now at the airport. Very dry air. 30% humidity, a west wind at 13. Pressure continuing to rise at 30-26. 52-37 were the extremes today. You see a below normal for this time of year. Record low for tonight, 23, set back in 1978. We're going to come very, very close to that. The same storm that brought us rain with the frontal passage brought huge amounts of snow to parts of Michigan. This is in the Cadillac, Michigan area that's near Detroit, and you can see it's a winter wonderland there as copious amounts of snow has fallen over the last couple of days. They're getting, in fact, maybe a little more tonight as this whole system exits off into Canada. So in light of that, 23 doesn't sound so bad. Back to look at the 5-day forecast right after this.
First warning weather brought to you by ARS, backed by Carrier Reliability.
Attention users of the drug Baycol, your health.
Okay, caution again for tonight. Temperatures down in the low to middle 20s over most of the area, so pretty hard freeze out. Good news is it's a one-night phenomenon. We warm very quickly. Tomorrow about 51 for your high with sunshine. 31 overnight. Yeah, still right around freezing, but still better than 20-something. As we move toward the middle to the end of the week, we gradually warm up. Middle 60s on Wednesday to upper 60s on Thursday to low 70s by the time the weekend arrives. Maybe a chance of a shower in here late on Saturday. Overnight lows too warm, out of the 30s on Tuesday and Wednesday night into the 40s Thursday night to near 50 by the end of the weekend. Probably at 73 will feel like 147 after being 23.
That's okay.
It'll feel great.
Okay. Yeah, we'll enjoy. Thank you, Keith.
Up next on Live 5 News at 6, women who use birth control pills are suing over serious health concerns. Find out what it means for you.
Going okay? Hi, everybody. Coming up in just a moment, I'll let you hear from Lee Corso, who tells you what he thinks about South Carolina and Clemson. He also is going to talk a little bit to me about Steve Spurrier's chance for success in the pros. That's just a bit of what we'll talk about coming back live in just a bit.
Got a problem?
Now, you have to be a little skeptical about this story, but some so-called scientists say they have found a way to burn fat without exercise. The secret, they say, sheets of raspberries on your stomach. Inventors say raspberries are a natural fat burner, and they're marketing their product in Tokyo. More than 2/3 of those tested, they say, lost weight on the raspberry diet. In the coming months, you could see raspberry tablets and even raspberry plasters on the market.
More than 100 women who use birth control pills are suing over the drug's side effects. They say manufacturers didn't warn patients of potentially deadly blood clots. The lawsuit was filed in Britain. The women who are suing took what's known as third-generation contraceptives between 1989 and 1995. Now, they claim those pills are dangerous because they contain higher levels of estrogen and progestin. If your kids snore, they may be at greater risk for developing attention deficit disorder. New research suggests children with sleep problems are twice as likely to be inattentive and hyperactive. If this is the case, it could explain why children with ADHD often express sleepiness by being inattentive and also hyper, and why stimulants like Ritalin work to treat some behavioral problems.
Up next at 6, ESPN's college football expert comes to town. Warren goes one-on-one with Lee Corso. That's coming up next in sports.
Real-time closed captioning of this newscast is provided as a public service for the deaf and hard-of-hearing citizens of South Carolina through a program administered by the South Carolina Public Service Commission.
And a good afternoon to you, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. We're going to talk right in the early stages of March here, and I know March Madness is headed towards us. We're going to talk college football here tonight because it's the Palmetto Touchdown Club's annual get-together. High school and college folks from around the state will be honored here tonight, and Lee Corso of ESPN is here. My question to him moments ago when I had a chance to talk to him first had to do with the importance of football in a state so small, 3 million or so in this state, but on a football in the fall on a Saturday, this state's pretty crazy.
You know, when you take a team like South Carolina, I think Lou was 0-11. They average about 80,000 people.
That's right.
That's my kind of place. And then you get Clemson, who's got probably even more rabid fans. And the fact that they get their 85,000 over and over again. It's a great state for football. There's no question about it.
Let me ask you about Steve Spurrier's possible hopes and expectations. You know him well. You've seen the system that has been so successful. Can he hope to have any type of success in a system in the pros?
First of all, he won't have that kind of success because at Florida, he had that many more players than anybody else.
Yes.
He out-coached some guys, but I'll tell you what, he just had more athletes than anybody else. But now he's got even athletes. And he's a good football coach. Let me tell you, he's a hell of a football coach. I think he'll have a lot of success, and I think he'll have it instantaneously. I think he's a terrific coach. People forget he was a sensational coach for the Tampa Bay Bandits, which is pro football. He'll handle those athletes. And I tell you what, I got a lot of respect for Steve Spurrier. He'd be a tremendous pro coach.
Finally, when you got out of coaching, you probably thought life was over, and all of a sudden, I mean, you've become the icon of the sport, college football. I mean, you're the face of it now.
Yeah. It's fortunate. You know, it's I'm 66 years old, and it's the first time I've ever had a job somebody else wants.
All right, those moments just a bit ago with Lee Corso. So that sets the stage for the Touchdown Club here tonight. A couple of other notes to pass along. Susan Walvius, the women's basketball coach at South Carolina, named today the SEC Coach of the Year. Clemson is ranked in the collegiate baseball poll #2. That's where they were a week ago. South Carolina, after losing its only 2 games of the year to Clemson over the weekend, slips from 5th to 7th. Let's talk about that Southern Conference basketball tournament. the waning moments here as Davidson wins the tourney title, headed to the big dance. And Coach Bob McKillop says the reason his team won it is because they played as a team.
These guys, I think, are the emblems of what our program is all about. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough, because when you play a team sport, you put those talents together, that talent can overcome any deficiency that you might have.
On to the fishing forecast now, folks. Here's the outlook as we head for Tuesday. Gators play in Roanoke this afternoon. 3 games in 3 days for these guys. They win today's game. We'll look a bit at that game action as we head to a break here. Coach Alex English team pulling back into a half game of first. Here's Cedric Weber on his way to the basket. He had 10 for the day. The big game by Fred House. 27 for House as he helps them to a 6-point victory as they'll stay in Roanoke tomorrow, then come home for a home game on Wednesday. We'll be back right after this.
Keith says it's going to be a cold one tonight.
Yeah, very cold. Near record cold tonight. Of course, we'll update you tonight on Night Watch at 11.
That is our news for tonight. For Keith Nichols and Warren Pepper, I'm Bill Shaw.
And I'm Debbie Chard. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the CBS Evening News coming up next. Good night.
Live Super Doppler 5000. Live 5 Traffic Tracker. Skycam 5. The Live 5 News Ticker. Live 5 News is the only place with the tools and the experience to make cutting-edge technology work for you.